What advice would you give to students who are excited about AI but don't know where to start?
Start reading. That's the best place to do it.
Mhm.
And I think the more easier and natural approach is see how AI can blend into the field you're interested in.
Do you see any industries where non-tech thinkers will play a huge role in shaping AI applications?
Healthcare, government, defense, finance.
What's one thing that students can do this year to become part of the AI conversation, regardless of their major?
Start using it. I think that's the best place to start. And there is just so many free tools.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to SA Pro Podcast. Today, our podcast title is How Non-Tech Students Can Shape the Future of AI with Creativity and Ethics. Today, we are met with Sri Krishna. Would you mind telling our viewers what it is you do in this crazy life?
Absolutely, Kennedy. Thank you first off for having me on the SA Pro podcast. And just to give a bit of a introduction about myself, I've been a former journalist turned marketing and branding professional for the last a decade or so. I've been a mainstream journalist covering everything from national news to international news to specializing in technology journalism itself, after which I pivoted towards corporate communications and branding, and now I lead marketing and sales for a stockbroker. So that's a bit of a
Wow.
short summary of my 12 years.
How did your interest in technology begin? Were you always on this kind of like this technical path, or was it something that kind of emerged later in life?
Oh, no, not at all, actually. I tried my level best to stay away from, anything that has to do with science or maths. So I kind of, due to a lack of choice, I chose literature, psychology, and journalism as a major during my my higher studies and my graduation and my post graduation. So I think technology happened to me just out of sheer curiosity because for a brief time I had a small stint as a public relations professional wherein I got a chance to work with some of the biggest brands in India that were technology first. And at the time, I think the CEOs I managed were all ex McKinsey, ex Google, and the way they were, talking about AI and things that were possible with it, and that just blew my mind. Half the time, I would have forgotten I actually have a job to do over there and just be mesmerized by what they're talking and wonder, wow, can this really happen? So at that point, each and every time I saw a journalist do a story on them, I'm like, damn, I wish I had the chance to, sit with these guys, have a deep discussion on this, and maybe, come up with a story myself. And that's when I kind of pivoted towards technology journalism. And at the time, it was not really a thing, technology journalism. It actually came more of what you can a subsection of business journalism, but now it's become a lot more mainstream with a lot more dedicated publications doing it. So I think that's where my journey kind of with technology began. I started writing about B2B tech, and ever since then there was no looking back.
Hmm. Yeah, technology is it's a lot to write about these days, I feel like. Do you think that
Yep,
non-tech
yep.
students should care about AI today? Do you guys utilize a lot of AI?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny you ask, like I think about a week back when I was speaking to, one of my colleagues, we were just thinking about this. If OpenAI decides to, stop ChatGPT today, how much productivity level would reduce across the board, not just in within the enterprise sector, but globally, right? Now, I understand the notion as to why students from a non-tech background might feel that, AI is very complicated, or maybe that is not something, they're able to grasp. But whether they like it or not, it is kind of shaping their life as they know it, even today, in one way or the other. They need not be the
Hmm.
engineers building them or anything, but they're actually helping it every day becoming to make it better, more robust. Even if they're using it for so much as writing a book report, you're still helping build, the AI system at large. So whether you like it or not, right now, every person in the world who has remotely any access to the internet, I would say, has a direct impact on how AI is, kind of shaping the world in return.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that kind of covers kind of my next question as well. It was like the roles of non-engineers or non-coders like in the AI ecosystem. So you're saying like pretty much just like the process of using AI plays into the AI ecosystem. You don't even have to be a coder or an
Exactly.
engineer.
Not at all,
Okay,
not at
yeah.
all. I mean, even if you were to look at, specific titles, right? I'm sure a lot of your students who are probably graduating or are in their high school, they're like, okay, fine. If I were to apply for something on, say, over LinkedIn or Indeed or any of your job portals, what exact titles am I looking for? Well, AI, the engineering aspect of it is just one portion that is taken care by tech guys, right? Apart from that, you have a host of things wherein non-tech guys play a huge role. It could be marketing, it could be sales, it could be product design, it could be, user experience, it could be, customer success. So there's a host of things depending on what value you are willing to add. The world of AI, you will be a very essential part in the world of AI.
How can someone with a backgrounds in humanities, arts, or business break into the AI industry, in your opinion?
Right. So, I mean, all three of them are, fundamentally different from one another when we look at humanities, when we look at arts, or, when we look at, business. So, business has, undoubtedly a lot of scope. You have a lot of processes that are non-tech. It could be ops, it could be, business development, marketing, sales, all of these things. But when it comes to humanities and arts in general, if you want to go take more of a philosophical approach to things, you have, the world of AI ethics, AI, the way AI can be used or implemented from a policy making standpoint, or even at an organizational level, that you can, the scope is endless. Like, I think where a lot of people feel, there's a the gap is in the fact that they feel coding is required to be a part of, the AI bandwagon. But right now, if we were to speak of current data, most of the companies either make AI or use AI. So even if you're not gonna directly be helping develop it, you will be a part of a company. No matter how remotely, you will be a part of a company that belongs to the world of AI. And as we all know, now most companies are technology first. So they're all driven by tech. And most of them, whether it's actually, whether they have any real use of AI or not is secondary, but most of them believe that they are led by AI, or, they love to throw that word around. So
Mm.
it really doesn't matter what the technology is. What was cloud a decade back is AI today. Tomorrow it could be something else, right? But you will be a part of that world. What does not take away from the fact that is there is a huge human element involved in business even now as it was, 10 or 15 years back, and that is going to stay. The whole aspect of AI replacing you or doing your job better than you, that's a lot of, there's a lot of gray area over there. It may help you do a lot of your mundane tasks. It may help you automate a certain part of it, but it's still you who's going to be taking the decision, right? Like,
Hmm.
just for simple things, there's something that your students may come across very often is, going through an applicant tracking system or an ATS. So when you actually send across your resume to and you have a lot of AI functionalities built into it, a lot of criteria built into it. Now, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter whether they've used an AI tool to build that resume or not. It's still, if they would still need to apply themselves to actually have a resume that means something. And even after it is being selected, it doesn't really select, guarantee you a job. It's a person at the end of the table who's deciding whether you're going to get it or not. It's still a person who's going to be interviewing you to see if there is a cultural fit over there. So it's, I would say, it's more human right now than it was ever. because now you actually need to bring in your core elements, because creativity cannot be taught, intelligence cannot be taught.
Yeah.
But probably, okay, fine, churning a bunch of numbers on an Excel sheet, okay, automate that, no worries. Now you'll actually be responsible for decisions that make a difference.
Yeah.
And that
That's
really
very
doesn't
true.
matter if you're an engineer.
Do you believe that the creativity is just as important as technical skills in AI innovation? Kind of like I'm thinking like
Absolutely.
maybe like creativity and like prompt writing and stuff. Definitely, probably, huh?
I wouldn't actually put creativity and prompt writing on the same
Yeah,
level of things.
yeah.
I think I would actually loathe any applicant who would kind of put prompt writing in one of their skills,
Mhm.
because you're actually
I don't
that's
know.
just telling that you know how to frame your words to an AI bot. But it's a
Yeah.
good thing to do. It's a good thing to do. But creativity is more like, how can I tell you this? Like any technology you build, there's a way to present it, there's a way to make it look nice, feel nice, ensure that it is built with a customer first approach. There should be a way to
Mm,
sell that technology, there should be a way to make that technology accessible. And all of these
mhm,
require unique thinking. It needs a unique perspective for you to sell your product to the customer, to make your product more usable, right? And that it doesn't matter how sophisticated your technology is. You need really good people to do it.
I agree. Yeah, that's very true. Um, can you share an example where a creative or ethical perspective shaped the development of a tech product? Anything you remember?
Now, see, creative and I mean ethical is a little bit like, like I would, could you elaborate on what you exactly mean by an ethical approach?
Like say a company has certain ethics that they abide by. How did that go into shaping the development of their product? Like whether they kept away from certain things, like maybe when you're creating a social media app, you have certain ethics that keep you from making it too addictive or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
So look, like when it comes to, having a creative product itself, right? I think one of the biggest companies right now in the world of AI, that is Hugging Face. Now, I'm sure like anybody who's in, a hardcore engineer would definitely be familiar with them. So
mhm,
I love their overall approach to, building AI for the world, right? Like, and I had an opportunity, like I think back in my day with an Indian publication, like I had an opportunity to interview the co-founders of Hugging Face, wherein like I kind of learned about their ecosystem, and I love the fact that they build projects that other engineers in the world can contribute to. So first off, they're building robust AI systems themselves, and they make it publicly accessible, or what is now commonly known as open source. And that allows other engineers from any part of the world to contribute their thoughts and pull some technology out of that and build their own products and then give back to that community, right? So there's always this sense of, say I build something that's really cool and I make it accessible for everybody at a code level, and then there is somebody like you who's perhaps you found a better way to use it, a more innovative way to use it, you add in your two senses and make something else with it, and then you make it more accessible to the world, right? You put it back into the same ecosystem, and then so on and so forth. Like, while the technology remained the baseline, the application changed fundamentally, right? Like
mhm,
what started with perhaps, text to image, right? You found a lot of Dali, and you found a lot of Hugging Face, Mid Journey, and all of these guys. So when they let it out for the public use, a lot of them used it in beautiful ways, and that gave
mhm,
a lot of hope as to, like, having covered AI for a solid part of my career. We were under the misapprehension that creativity would be perhaps the last part that an AI would, take over or have an influence on. But it was the dead opposite of it. Creative areas were the first place they actually hit, be it in terms of making better images, be it in terms of rendering images that was not human. Like, it is not even possible for me to imagine that, I don't know what a blue rhinoceros running over the moon is going to look like, right? But it could actually give me an image, right? And the best
Mm-hmm.
part is, if you have ever used Midjourney, that was done on a Discord. So a lot of the whole world can
Yeah.
see what you're doing, unless you're using the paid version. The world could see what you're doing, and they could use it for something else, right?
Yeah.
And now the ethical portion of
I
it
love
is
it. Yeah.
you're crediting them.
I used to be on Midjourney all the time. It was crazy back in the day. It was
Exactly, and
wild. Discord
let
chat.
our Exactly, and we let the juices flow. And I would not say that it kind of hindered my creativity or anybody else's. If not, it gave me a lot more room to think as to what more beautiful can I create, right?
hmm Yeah, definitely.
Now, the ethical use of these things is where things becomes a little bit gray. Even to date, no matter what you say, a lot of your AI systems does have bias. It is still have it still does have a lot of inherent flaws, right? And that is just something that is gonna take time and a lot of iterations to get right. We cannot blame it telling that, it's biased, it's doing wrong and all that stuff. It is still us who's feeding the data. If the majority of us have a notion that's built into it, it is going to, produce the same amount of result, right? In the world of tech, we have a simple term: garbage in, garbage out, right? If I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
produce a kind of content, it is going to produce just that, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
could see a lot of AI systems initially, even Midjourney for that matter, Midjourney, OpenAI, ChatGPT, DALI, all of these things, they had a lot of, racial slurs or a lot of bias towards a certain group of people, or a certain set of, I mean, a lot of religious comments and things like that. But now a lot of it is being addressed, right? But
Yeah.
I think from a student perspective, as they are your key demographic, I would say
Mm-hmm.
that, use AI. I think in one of my interviews, I was interviewing I think the former CEO of the Allen Institute of AI, and he used this term beautifully. AI right now, the kind of tech that's accessible to the general public, is nothing but a fairly smart savant, a concierge of sorts. And that's all it is. Don't give it any more importance than that, and don't rely on it any more than that. It is that concierge who's just going to help you, take your bags to your room. That's about it. You've written a book report, it's okay. Think of it like a little bit of a glorified Grammarly. But do not
Yeah.
make it do not have I- like, you still need to read the book, otherwise the purpose of your education fails. You still need to learn the basics,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
At this point, I think, like, going back to my school days and the kind of things I learned, I kind of it's rendered a lot of it useless right now, because I after school, I don't think I've ever used trigonometry in my real life ever. And I remember that being a bane in my life for at least 3 to 4 years, right? I don't remember using any of that over here, but still, schooling was still important. That kind of socializing, that learning, those exams, all of that were very important, as it set the foundational stone to where I am today, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
AI it's gonna be a good helper for you, but if you
Yeah.
rely on it, and that's all, like, again, if you're just a prompt engineer, then you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of tough time, right? Let
How
AI
would
do
you?
your
Yeah.
mundane tasks. You let it choose.
Yeah. Along the lines of that, how can students from like non-technical backgrounds start building more AI literacy without learning how to code?
Coding is just one aspect of building AI. They don't have to focus on building the technical front of it, unless that's something they're interested in. And right now, you have a lot of, there are a lot of ways you can even build AI without knowing a single line of code. But I think for anything, it's not just AI. General, you know general thought. If you want to know about something, start reading. I think that's
Yeah.
where everything begins. And right now there is just so much content out there, free content out there. There's just so much resources that you can learn from, right? And experiment. You're a student, you literally have nothing to lose at this point, right? You
Yeah.
experiment, learn as much as possible, and eventually you will come up with a toolkit, right? That, okay, fine, I'm going to use Canva for something, I'm going to use ChatGPT for something, I'm going to use Gemini for something else, I'm going to use Midjourney for my creatives. Probably all of them combined, I'm going to make a beautifully written assignment or a report of sorts, something, anything, right? But just experiment,
Mhm.
learn how to use it, because all of these technologies have been built in a way that is publicly and easily accessible. You don't
Mhm.
need to know a lot to it. Like, I think even if I would take ChatGPT to my grandmother who knows, like, basic English, can actually give it a prompt. And I
Mhm.
think the biggest example for how anybody can use any piece of technology is, perhaps you should really check out, if ever you get the time, how a lot of older women or men in India use Alexa and Siri. And
Okay.
it would bamboozle you, right? Like, they use it for the
Have,
weirdest of things, like, sitting at home
what do they
asking it
use
for
it
weather
for? Like
reports.
like random, oh, like random weather things, or like just
Yes,
random
yes,
questions? That's
I
what I
am
use
going out
ChatGPT
today.
for.
How's the weather?
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. I mean that's good. It's either
Exactly.
that or look it up on your iPhone. It's quicker.
Exactly. Yep, yep. And the
Hmm.
same thing applies to students. Like, none of them have any coding skills on any level, but still they learn to use the technology. It's much easier to do for students right now, because they've, like, a lot of the Gen Zs or whoever came after them, they were the generation that was born with technology in their hand, cutting edge technology in their hand. So a lot of for them to adapt is not really a hard thing to do. But it
Hmm.
should be important that they know that if they want to be a part of the tech world, of which AI is just one component, they need not know coding. They can excel at whatever area they are currently pursuing and still be a part of this huge revolution that is happening. And inevitably, everybody is going to be a part of a tech company itself. Because I think from a journalism standpoint, a lot of the companies are also benefited by calling them a tech first company, because it helps them build a lot of good investor sentiment. So every company, even if they're picking out garbage, they're going to call themselves a tech driven garbage disposal company.
Nice. Interesting. That's very interesting. We
Mhm.
kind of we mentioned a little bit about what makes AI more productive, but in your opinion, where can it go wrong without human insight?
That's exactly where it can go wrong, when it's driven without human insight. Now, I'll give you an example. Like right now, a basic thing, like, the company I am at currently, we are a stockbroker ourselves, so we have our own brokerage app and things like that. Now, if I'm a trader, right, I'm a trader, and trading is an extremely hard thing to do. There's just so much churning of numbers, graphs, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, a lot of things that I need to understand before I even think about investing a single buck. Now, one may think that, okay, fine, ChatGPT right now has access to real-time internet. Why can't I ask it to, give me that trade? Hey, ChatGPT, give me, suggest me a trade that can make me $1 million with just
That'd be nice.
$2.
Yeah.
And for the sad part of it, it's going to actually tell you that, I mean, now it's actually a lot more better. It's going to tell you that's never going to happen. But if you were to
Yeah.
do it, here's the way you can do it. And trust me, if you're going to do that, you're going to lose a lot of money. And perhaps you'll never look back at trading,
Hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
that requires, real-time inputs, real-time knowledge, and, a lot of things that happens like this. And that is not something AI can do, and it should not do. But on the other
Yeah.
hand, if I were to make AI more productive, what would I do is, if I am using, say, an app to analyze my charts, and there's a bunch of indicators, perhaps something that shows me pivot points, something that shows me where there is an uptick or a surge, but I don't know what it means because it has a lot of fancy names. There are things like Greeks, or there are things like OI charts, pain graphs. I don't know what it means. I'm a beginner. I can ask ChatGPT to explain it to me in a layman term as to, okay,
Mm-hmm.
based on best practices or best industry norms, what are the metrics that I need to be looking for before investing? Or say there are
Mm,
about 10 investment books, but I don't have the time to read it. You know what? Just summarize it for me so that I get the best value for my time. I would still say go back to the book, but I think
yeah,
this would give me enough to understand why I should be going back to the book. But I would
exactly.
never rely on ChatGPT to take a live trade unless I'm willing to
Mm-hmm.
lose that money, right?
Yeah. When I'm talking to
So,
ChatGPT, I always say, explain it like a 10-year-old. Explain it to a 10-year-old, and I always get the
exactly.
best answer.
And that's great. But if I were to, like, for example, if you were to ask it today, you give it my LinkedIn profile, and I'm like, I'm interviewing this guy, you know what, set me a bunch of questions for him. Now it's gonna come up with probably out of the 10 questions, maybe three will actually make sense, the rest will be bullshit. And
Yeah.
being a journalist, I've tried this and I realized that you know what it was just easier to go back to his profile, understand who he was and what he does, and come back with the questions. Right?
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
think a
definitely.
lot of the people have this misapprehension about AI that you do 5% of the job, it's gonna get the 95% done. But the reality
Hmm.
is you still have to do 80% of the job. It's gonna do 10% and you're gonna put in the 10% correcting whatever it did. And we are
Hmm.
far away from it doing your entire job. Fine, you have a report that you want to summarize, it can do all of these tasks. Again, think of it like a concierge. The only way you're going to make it productive is what you would expect your assistant to do, right? You wanted to remind stuff, you wanted to write MOMs. Like, I'm not sure, like, like, a lot of the meetings that we have right now, we have Zoom analysis, we have Google Chat analysis, wherein we get the MOMs instantly, right? But then when I initially started to work, we had people doing this. I would have one of my resources spend at least, 1 hour to 45 minutes after a 2-hour meeting actually writing it down, and 90% chances are he would have missed a couple of things. But now that
Hmm.
has been removed, right? While the AI doesn't understand the context of what we are speaking, it'll at least give me a very almost accurate framework of what my meeting was. Now, this helps me in two ways. I get at least a more accurate version of the MOM, and that resource who would ideally be spending an hour or two after the meeting to build that MOM can actually focus on something that matters.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Valid.
So
Yeah.
these are the ways you can make it more productive. Don't use it for things that it is not meant for.
Hmm.
Use it for things that it's good at. That is brainless
Yeah.
tasks.
Hmm. Would you say that that is an ethical concern that young professionals should consider when using or building AI tools? Like to make it just for mundane tasks, not for potentially threatening tasks, of course. Definitely.
I mean, as things stand, I don't think we are there yet. I think there's a lot of, I mean, a lot of the perception on AI is built by sci-fi and a lot of exaggeration by a few tech people. But yes, the possibility is there.
Mhm.
And I mean, now getting into the little philosophical side of things, we as human beings have inherently taken something good and made it a horrible thing, right?
Mm,
Think of what we did with the internet or what we did with nuclear energy or anything like that. We took the best of ideas and we turned it into something disastrous, and that is just inherent to us as human beings. But right now, where AI is, I don't think it can do much harm. Okay, fine, it can come up with a lot of deep fakes and things like that, but regulators are taking it seriously, the builders are taking it seriously, the engineers and things like that. But again, We are trying to build a piece of technology which perhaps 50 years, 100 years from now can overpower our thinking as well. Right now, our concern should not be over what it is capable of doing or not. Our concern is should we be building it or not in the first place, because human beings have clearly shown that they lack wisdom to handle such things, right?
Hmm.
So build it for something that needs to be automated and leave the
Hmm.
rest to human beings. We are still fine,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
noticed in enterprise is that there's a lot of AI washing. It's just marketing, right? AI is a good term. People search it on Google. Your SEO will grow off the charts. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it in my website. I'm going to use it in my meta title. I'm going to use it in every corner of the product. Whether it's AI or not is
Hmm.
secondary. Nobody's even asking that question,
Yeah.
right? For us, what is AI?
Hmm.
Any student, if I ask them what is AI, Chat GPT, that's where my
Exactly.
mind essentially goes to. But that's not it. That's just one chatbot that's been programmed
Yeah.
to give a set of responses, and it learns every day. It learns more. That's great, but it's far from, perhaps doing something horrible. And
Hmm.
from, from a builder's standpoint, or for students who want to enter this, always ask yourself that question: should we really be doing this? Should we really be building this? Is it
Hmm.
helping anybody really? Now, I I still don't understand, like, no matter how good of an idea it could have been to morph images or videos, people who built it must have thought the inherent issues with it, especially when you make such a thing public, right?
Hmm.
There are a set of there will always be the set of people who can make the worst out of the best things. That's just inherent with any kind of innovation. But where you can put a pause. And regulators have stepped in. They are stepping in, and they're pretty going pretty heavily on it, and that's a great sign,
Hmm.
because inevitably we will be a part of the world. We will be part of a world that's inundated with technology, a lot of it. So
Hmm.
we should learn to have it become a part of our lives in a more seamless way where we don't have to worry all the time.
I agree.
Yep.
What advice would you give to students who are excited about AI but don't know where to start?
I'd say start reading. That's the best place to do it.
Hmm.
And I think the more easier and natural approach is see how AI can blend into the field you're interested in. If you're into fine arts, you're into movie making, you're into marketing, you're trying to become the next Wolf of Wall Street. See how it can help you. Just a
Yeah.
simple Google search, and I think you will have the world at your fingertips. And that is what the kids these days have. They have information at their fingertips. Now, how you use it is totally up to you. But if you do use it the right way, the opportunities are limitless.
I'm a filmmaker myself, and there's a lot of good uh, new kind of movie-esque AI tools coming out that are pretty good for
Yep.
like low-budget filmmakers, and they look so realistic. And like, I don't care if anyone gets mad. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful invention. It's not replacing anything. It's like, okay, we don't have the money for a car chase, so we're gonna use this AI tool. I got to start looking into that. That kind of just inspired me. That's amazing.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember, I think during my graduation, there was a huge fad for making short movies, like, and it was
Mhm.
all over India. And I would see students struggle day in and day out to get the funds to shoot a decent 15 minutes or 5 minutes long movie. The
Mhm.
set, the actors, the editing work, and now a lot of, I mean, you can pretty much do it single-handed. So these things are
Exactly.
beautiful. Now, none of them know coding. They still don't. And they don't have to.
Mhm.
They know their stuff. They know how to make a
They got that
movie.
prompt. They got that
Ex-
prompting skills.
Yeah. I
That
mean, prompt
that
is
English
one thing.
writing.
Like, see, even
Uh,
for your matter, like if you're into filmmaking, and it's not
mhm,
just like you making a movie with AI versus somebody who's a non-filmmaker making a movie with AI would be fundamentally different. I'm
mhm,
assuming yours will be a lot more uh, well better because you're into that field, right? You know a lot of
mhm,
technicalities that somebody may not know, and that is your edge at the end of the day. The AI becomes just a tool. Like imagine what an Adobe Photoshop was. That's just
mhm,
pretty much it. Again, for writers, think of it like a glorified Grammarly or a little more personal version of Google. That's all
mhm,
it is. It's not going to replace your job unless you let it replace your job. If you're going to start writing like that, very mindless, with no context and things like that, then you are in problem. Then you have no edge, right?
mhm.
And a lot of the people, like many people can call AI out. I think there's a lot of telltale signs, especially for writing, because that's a field I come from. Like it's very, very easy to pick out something that's written with AI. But
Exactly.
again,
Yeah.
yourself, feed in your data, your perspective, because there is still 90% of you in it.
Hmm. Just help you get the word flow right, you know, make smooth out
Exactly.
the words.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, Sri, do you see any industries where non-tech thinkers will play a huge role in shaping AI applications? I mean, we mentioned film, but I wonder if there's any more.
I think IT in the as a whole is a huge industry you can be a part of. And again, going back to the part where I said that every industry is becoming tech first.
Mm,
So I don't think AI would be considered something different. It's just going to be a tool that is applicable across industries. Think of healthcare, government, defense, finance, hospitality, travel and tourism, any of this, and you are going to have tech in one way or the other. The depth of it is going to make a difference. Now, how a retail, say a retail chain like Walmart, how they're going to use tech will be fundamentally different from how Google uses tech, right? But they're still going to be tech. So, and all of these companies, no matter which industry they belong to, they have these functions where you can play a role.
hmm.
There is, again, tech is being built to make our lives easier. It's not to take over us.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's
Like
just
wow.
instead of having a bunch of people, like about say 15, 20 people doing the same task day in and day out, I'm going to have them do a lot more important tasks while I let the AI take care of the mundane part of it. And
Hmm.
now, I think now student actually can, you know, try to double down on what they're good at because employers are not seeking numbers. We don't need headcount. We don't need individuals. We are looking for
Skill.
talent.
Yeah.
That's the word on the
Hmm.
street, right? Talent. Right? What does that mean? That means somebody who's exceptionally good at what they do. How they do it, the tools they use for it, doesn't matter.
Hmm.
But if I'm getting
The
a tech,
irreplaceable qualities.
exactly, exactly. And that is something that AI is far from achieving.
I was saying like AI, it doesn't have any irreplaceable qualities. It kind of just knows how to duplicate and reimagine what's already been created. You know, no original thoughts.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. So give it that original thought and have it package it in a better way. That's
Yeah.
about it. Like,
Cool.
like I think a lot of the times, even when like currently, like I'm into marketing, so there are a lot of times that we kind of wonder what the best practice for this is, or I'm having a 302 error showing up on my website's backend. What do I need to do? I don't have any expertise building that. ChatGPT helps answer for me that, oh, okay, fine, this is what is wrong with it, and this is how I can actually do it
Hmm.
because I actually have a step by step how to to do it. I still don't know the technicalities behind it. All I know is I have a problem and it's showing me an answer, and I'm hoping it's going to work because it's a simple thing,
Hmm.
right? So it's fine. I don't need to consult a coder for it. But yes, if
Mm,
I'm going to build a website from scratch, I'm surely not going to do it on ChatGPT. I'm going to actually hire a person who's good at building websites.
smart, smart, very smart. Um, we mentioned, um, I mean, with the rise of social media, it's kind of like you're constantly bombarded with information, you know? What would you say are some good habits for staying informed about AI development without getting overwhelmed?
See, information overload is a real thing. It is
Yeah.
an actual issue wherein you try to learn so much about something that it either goes over your head or you lose interest in it altogether. So start small is where what I would say. Like, for example, I'm going to take your example itself, Kennedy. You're into filmmaking. So let us go with simple steps as to, probably set up a few Google alerts. I think that's a free thing that anybody can do. Set up a few Google alerts for AI filmmaking and things like that. Just what role it's playing in your area of expertise. And do the same thing across social media, do it across everywhere else. Once you're accustomed to that, then move on to the next levels, right? Because I don't think anybody in AI filmmaking or the kind of generic videos that you could introduce yourself to, they're not going to be throwing jargons at you. They're not going to be talking about large language models, small language models. They're not going to be talking to you about the models or the amount of, how you this Instagram profile and things like that. And that's cool. That's a good start for get into things, right? And once you're interested in any subject for that matter, if I'm interested, I have.
I got one more question for you, Sri. You ready for
Sure.
it?
Yep.
Okay. Finally, what's one thing that students can do this year to become part of the AI conversation, regardless of their major?
Start using it. I think that's the best place to start. And there is just so many free tools, especially for those who are into non-technical backgrounds. And if you are, I'm like, considering I come from a creative background with arts and literature, there are just so many beautiful free tools that you can use and start experimenting for your own social media, for your own YouTube channel, for your own podcast. Start experimenting with it and see how it can help you become a better version of yourself. I think that's the
Mm,
one thing that everybody needs to do this year at least, because I would never say it's too late to catch the train, but it's just that the whole you wouldn't want to miss out on the whole journey. Like, I've used the first version of DALI and seeing what image AI images are coming out today, and having witnessed that entire journey, that makes me feel a a part of something really special. You need to be a part of the evolution. Just don't be the person who uses it in the end. Be a part of the evolution. Take And a lot of these companies love feedback. They love hearing from the newer generation because a lot of the tools are targeted towards them. So start giving user feedback. Start reaching out to these people if you're interested. And trust me, like, use social media for your betterment. A lot of these startups, if you are actually upfront about it and you have an opinion, you know what, don't post it or rant about it on Twitter. Actually write to somebody directly on LinkedIn or any professional platforms, and I would actually bet that 90% of them would actually take you seriously and care enough to respond, because you are important.
mm,
And it just
mm,
had to be valuable criticism or valuable feedback, and that's about it. You are a part of it. So
mm,
start reading about it and start applying it. It doesn't really matter. Don't worry about the output. Don't worry what's going to come out of it. It doesn't have to come out into anything, right? Think
yeah.
of it like a new game has hit the town and you're just playing it, right? It's just for the fun of it. It's just for the kicks.
Hmm.
And what that
Okay.
can teach you, I don't think a lot of books can.
Very true. Very nothing like practical application.
Absolutely.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that just about covers it. Thank you, Sri, for your time. This has
Awesome.
been a
Awesome,
great time.
Kennedy. Likewise, likewise. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for your time and lovely questions. It was great
of
being a
course,
part of it.
man. Thank you for your lovely answers. And for our viewers out there, remember to use code 20thread for 20% off your first order with SA Pro. And on that note, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Have a great day.